I was speaking with a client last week, and they were just making things very difficult for themselves. They were over complicating things. And so I shared with them a little story. And I'm going to share that with you now. So I said, okay, imagine spending 17 years trying to solve a problem, achieve a goal, achieve your dream, only to realize the one thing holding you back was everything that you thought you needed, right? That you thought you needed. And I was sharing with her about a visionary in the construction world named Harmon Palmer. And he was creating the future of construction, right? He built the very first ever solid concrete cinder block that is used to build, not only homes and buildings and skyscrapers, but he had this real vision for solving a problem in construction. He was all in. He did a patent. He sent it out into the field, and he just waited for it to catch fire. But what happens? Crickets. Contractors complained that it was way too heavy, it was awkward, it slowed them down. Hundreds of pounds of frustration, like back-breaking work, is kind of what they said. So his genius idea of these 100-pound cinder blocks was a total bust. It was failure. And most people would just quit, right? I tried, I quit. It's like it wasn't a good idea. It doesn't work. But what he did is he went back to the drawing board. He didn't give up. And in fact, it took him 17 years rethinking the block, the cinder block. And then suddenly it clicks for him. And he realized that what if the strength that didn't come from adding more to the cinder block, right? Because he couldn't make it any heavier than 100 pounds. People are already complaining about it. But what if by just removing everything, you know, so he does the unthinkable, right? He cuts out 2/3 of the block from he originally thought he needed all of it, all 100 pounds in that cinder block, to realize that if he was to cut out 2/3 of the block and create those hollow spaces and really strip it down to just the essentials, right, that could give him the product and result that he was after, right? And so fast forward, he makes those adjustments. And what was the result with this new block? Well, instead of 100 pounds, it now only weighed 30 pounds, right? Instead of it being weaker, thinking because I had to take something away, it was actually stronger. And it became more efficient and actually easier to use. So, what looked like, less, most people would say, was actually more powerful, more valuable, and got a better result. That is, guys, what it means to be results driven, not getting carried away and overwhelmed with overcomplicating things and adding. Sometimes, right? The weight that we're carrying and all that we're trying to do, fix, right? Add. It's not making it stronger. It's actually just slowing us down. It's not giving us a better result. So, being results driven, guys, isn't about just doing more all the time. And for a lot of us that have experienced success, it does take hard work. And so sometimes we think that we got to just outwork a problem. However, sometimes it means that we have to slow down. We have to take away. We have to simplify. We have to stop overthinking things, right? Those mindset blocks, right? And focus on doing what matters most, what gives us the best result, right? It's about carving out the distractions, the drama, those energy leaks, right? And getting laser focused on results and impact because the strongest thing the strongest thing that you can build today isn't what you add. It isn't always what you add. I want you to think about that. Sometimes it's what you are willing to take away. Maybe that's extra steps in a process or a system. Maybe that's a team member that is a cancer to your culture. Maybe that's your inability to delegate to your team. There's so many things that we overcomplicate, that we make harder than it really needs to be. So I want you to remember the story of the cinder block, right? And how it started out 100 pounds of solid cement. And fast forward 17 years later, still today, the patent that's used for the cinder block with the two holes in it now only weighs 30 pounds. Now is more efficient, more structurally sound, right? Because they took away what wasn't necessary. So my challenge for you today is to ask yourself, what's weighing you down that's not adding value, right? What extra steps in your process is holding you back from finishing or from getting the result that you are after? Where are you like solid, right? Think of the cinder block, but actually stuck. Think about that, right? What would it look like to cut the clutter, right? To be able to amplify where you truly get the strength or result, right? Focus on that. Remove all the other distractions, right? So that you can build lean, that you can build smart. Because when we overcomplicate things, when we just think if we just keep adding, right? It's not getting us the result that we are after, right? So I want you to be the block in the holes. Be the block with the holes. And experience for yourself how you can do uh, and achieve more with less sometimes when we don't overcomplicate it, right? When we focus on what really matters. I hope that helps you today as you are planning your Black Friday event. If you are planning what to talk about in your team huddles, if you are starting to plan for 2026, right? I want you to take inventory of potentially where you need to take away, right? Where you need to minimize, where you need to work smarter